Hello, I'm Frank Long, Editorial Director of Rehab Management. We have a special treat today. Joining us is David Rush, Guinness World Record holder, and by day, well, he has another career. David, introduce yourself and say hello.
Hey there, Frank. It's good to meet you. My name is David Rush. I am a senior product manager at a technology firm here in Boise, Idaho. And on the side, I promote STEM education by breaking Guinness World Records titles and then going into schools and talking to corporations about both the importance of STEM education and then the power of growth mindset, this idea that you can get better at anything. And that's what I do for fun.
David, tell us a little bit about your records. You have quite a few of them. How many do you have?
I'm coming up on 150 Guinness World Records titles broken over the last, it's been less than 5 years since I started breaking them. My very first was October of 2015 when I juggled for 6 minutes and 34 seconds while blindfolded.
David, have you ever developed an injury from training or from performing these record-setting attempts?
I absolutely have. In fact, quite a few. The very first record I was training to break was for the fastest half-mile run while juggling. I've been a juggler since I was 8. I got serious about it when I was getting my electrical engineering degree at MIT. And then 10 years later, I'm like, hey, I want to break a Guinness World Records title to promote STEM education and having a growth mindset. And so I was training I looked at all I was a joggler, which is the niche sport of running while juggling. There's a few thousand of us in the world. Um, and I was like, okay, I want to break a Guinness World Records title. So I looked at all the distances from a 100-meter dash up to a marathon, and I picked 800-meter dash because it looked like the weakest of those records. And so I trained for about 2 years. I ran over 2,000 miles while juggling, short runs, long runs, wind sprints, time trials. I ran until my legs burned and my lungs were on fire, and I kept running more. And at the end of those 2 years, I went on one last juggling run, and I hurt my knee. And it didn't seem too serious at the time. It just hurt a little bit. So I took a day off. A day became a week. Had to go get x-rays, an MRI, a doctor's opinion, second opinion. Nobody could figure out what was going on with my knee. And I literally wasn't able to run again for over a year and a half.
I was going to ask how you keep yourself injury-free, but it sounds like you're not always injury-free.
Well, I've learned from it, and one of the ways I've been able to maintain relative injury freeness over the last 5 years since is I train for each record I'm going after, and I start with some basic training. I work my way up. I have several Guinness World Records titles for longest duration balancing an object, say on my chin, like the longest duration balancing a bicycle on my chin, or longest duration balancing a chainsaw on my chin, or a ladder, and those are rather heavy weights. And you got to line up the spine with the chin, and the way I have to make it work is by building up the strength and stamina for the different parts of my body that use those that I need. And most people don't spend much time balancing things on their chin. And so you're like, what muscles are even there? So the first one that goes out is the jaw. That's the one that's painful initially, but that one strengthens up rather quickly. The one that hurts the most while I'm practicing is the back of the neck. Those muscles in the back of the neck need to be built up in the strength. But the one that'll really get you is the lower back, because that doesn't hurt while you're bouncing on your chin. It hurts the next day. And so that was trial and error of like, okay, how much weight can I lift? How much can I hold? How long can I keep it there? And then I need to build my strength and stamina up over several weeks and months before making an official attempt.
So, David, does your physical therapist know that you balance bicycles and chainsaws on your chin? And what does he or she say about that?
I haven't had to see them in a while, so they haven't heard too much about that.
These pieces of machinery, a bicycle, a chainsaw, and you're actually putting them on your face and balancing them. And I just want to make sure I'm understanding this.
Yeah, it's
I,
placing an object on my chin like this, let go of my hands, and I balance it there. The chainsaw, I've got the record's 10 minutes. 27-pound bicycle I put on for about 6 minutes. A ladder I went 13 minutes. And then the pool cue I went over an hour.
How do you think of these things? How do you decide which record you want to establish or which record you want to break? How do you think of this?
So it used to be, I mean, I was a juggler, and so it was always juggling related records. And then after I really took to heart this growth mindset idea that I could become better at anything, it's just a matter of looking through the book, watching videos, going on Guinness's website, and approaching it with, I could break any one of these records pretty much on the website, but which ones can I break in a realistic time frame? Apply for them, get the rules, and then try it out. And then when I fall flat on my face and fail I was like, I'm not going to let that stop me. I'm going to keep pushing through that and see if I can't break this record in any way.
Which of your records has stood the longest, and which one do you think will stand the longest?
Oh, that's a good question. So the very first record I ever broke was longest duration blindfolded juggling. And the previous record was 6 minutes, 29 seconds. When I broke it, I was in front of an audience of a couple hundred people. They all started cheering. I got so excited, I immediately overthrew a ball, and I only beat it by about 5 seconds. So I went back and rebroke it the next year. So I've held that record, the very first record I've broken. I've held it for almost all 5 years, continuously, even though I rebroke it myself. The next one was the most juggling head rolls in a minute, where I'm juggling 3 balls. Actually, I've got some right here, surprisingly. I'm juggling 3 balls, and I roll it off my head. And so I did 194 of those in a minute. And that's the longest record I've held and not rebroken myself. And then the third one is probably the fewest juggling catches in a minute. That's, you've got to be juggling the entire minute and you have the fewest catches. And I did 22 in at Boise State, and that was probably in 2016. And that's that one might be the one that stands the longest, because the longest duration blindfolded juggling one, that's beatable. The fewest juggling catches in a minute, that one's going to take someone a long time to build up the strength, stamina, endurance, because my heart rate goes from resting about 55 to about 184 beats per minute while doing that juggling.
So do you ever cramp up? Do you get sore muscles in the middle of this? You say, oh my gosh, I can't stop. I'm only 10 seconds away.
I certainly cramp up. I definitely get sore muscles. For that slow juggling one, it's just a really fast up snapping motion with my hands, and the muscles get absolutely sore. If I haven't practiced, it's like doing squats for the first day and going downstairs, first day in a long time and going downstairs. It feels like that kind of pain. And it's just a matter of, getting used to it, practicing up, building the muscle strength and the endurance.
So if we were to walk through your home, would we find a lot of topical analgesics, hot and cold therapy packs? I mean, what sorts of things would we find?
Not so much of that. You'd find a lot of juggling balls and some stretchy bands and weights for building the strength, stamina, endurance, but I don't use a whole lot of medications on them.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm. So David, any idea what is your next frontier going to be? What will be the next record you're going for?
During quarantine so far, I've already broken 11 Guinness World Records titles because there's not as many other things to do. And so I'm working on several right now. In fact, probably the next one is, I don't know if you can see this, but if you look at this, I've got this rash on my skin right there as well on the outside here. And I've got a giant bruise here because I'm practicing for the fastest time to put on 10 t-shirts. As part of the official Guinness World Records stay-at-home challenge. So there's people all over the world trying to go after this record right now, and I've got a week to work on it. So I'm putting t-shirts on as fast as I possibly can. I'm currently #1 on the leading board, so we'll see in 24 hours if I hold that record.
We've been speaking with David Rush. David, many times Guinness World Record holder. Thank you for joining us.
Hey, Frank, thanks for having me out. You can check out all the records on my website, davidrush4stem.com. That's the number 4stem.com.